let's get the Trump's deportation policies. One of the new things that they have unveiled, a new fresh hell that they've unveiled, is this thing that they're calling Alligator Alcatraz. I think it's more so Alligator Auschwitz. It is a migrant facility smack dab in the middle of the Everglades, in the middle of the swamp in Pennsylvania. From what I understand, it's like a airport hangar that was previously owned by some like pedophile that the government is now restructured into a tent city. Did I say Pennsylvania? I meant Florida. I'm sorry. Smack dab in the middle of Florida. I don't know why I said Pennsylvania. This is what's going on.
And we are taking a look at the president now. You see the Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem is with him today, along with the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. And as they take this tour through what we're calling, because they do, Alligator Alcatraz, now we're getting to see why they call it that. There is effectively, and I haven't heard anybody else use this wording, maybe they have, but it's like a moat of alligators that encircles this place, as many sides as it has. So, you know, what's interesting about this is it's exactly transparently what the president has been talking about via the governor of Florida. And if we get a microphone that we can listen to, we will try. Let's try here. I think we may be just too far away from the microphone. Now, you know, no one can find that better than the president of the United States that we have in Donald Trump, because he sees where the cameras are. He may jump in front of them and will immediately go.
No one is better than our big, beautiful president in recognizing where a camera is.
Back. Meanwhile, I want to talk with somebody who's really dealt with a lot of this issue of illegal aliens, the worst of the worst, being allowed in under the Biden administration. Congressman Chip Roy of the great state and border state of Texas. Congressman, your thoughts as the president is there looking at this facility where they can house up to 5,000 of the worst of the worst?
Harris, great to be on. And yeah, obviously we've experienced this firsthand in Texas. The difficulty of local law enforcement and states.
Congressman, let's listen real quickly to the president. I apologize. Let's watch.
Sure. So I would say he should call the governor, Kristi, and I'm sure you'd give him because his state is a disaster, and he doesn't do this.
Well, they have the original Alcatraz, so you guys could approve him being able to set one of these up over there. I'm sure the secretary would be happy to do that and provide. So my sense is he's probably not going to bite on that, but I don't know that they'd be able to come in at cost because they tried to do this high-speed rail. They spent like $150 billion, no tracks. We've got a privately funded rail in Florida from Miami to Orlando. It costs the taxpayer zero, and it's very successful. So it's just a much different approach between states.
We're not going to let him get anywhere near Alcatraz. It'll cost 100 times more than they thought. Now, he ought to come here and study this because he can learn a lot.
Yes? The first person checking into the room, sir.
Tomorrow.
Hopefully tomorrow, within the next 24 hours.
They have the doctors, they have all the professionals.
There's going to be a security sweep because there have been civilians here, so they will sweep this multiple times to make sure there's nothing can be used as weapons or any contraband. And then once that's cleared, then they'll do. So it's really up to Secretary. I know's got people in the queue, and so they'll be ready to receive.
I think our viewers at home should know that this is air-conditioned facility. So if any of the news claims they're keeping them out in the hot, humid South Florida, that is wrong. It's probably 62 degrees here,
to be honest.
Hey,
Biden wanted me in here, okay? He wanted me. It didn't work out that way, but he wanted me in here.
What's your expectation of what this will do for the speed and force of deportation?
A lot of things, and they're both telling me that these people come in here, they want to go home. And they want to go home, so we immediately send them home, where it's appropriate. Now, if somebody's a real killer, we don't send them anywhere. We put them in a maximum security. Look, what we inherited from this guy, this incompetent man, and his administration, which wasn't incompetent, it was radical left, lunatic, communist, whatever you want to say. I know most of them. What we inherited should never, ever be forgotten. What they've made us do. This is all because of an open border policy where 25 million people flowed in. From all over the world, from prisons, from all over the world they flowed in. For no reason whatsoever. We had, when I left, we had a very powerful border. We had no problem. He opened it up day one. He just opened the border, and people couldn't believe it.
That's right.
They were standing there. What are they doing? They said, go in. That's it. You look at the first day tapes. They opened it up and they said go, and that's where all of this began. But this is an amazing thing that they've done here.
But listen, people don't have to come here. If they self-deport and go home, they can come back legally. We will let them come back legally.
And there is a lot of self-deportation.
Yes. But if you wait and we bring you to this facility, you don't ever get to come back to America. You don't get the chance to come back and be an American again and work here. So
they weren't with us when the President and the Secretary Kevin and we went through the intake. So right when you do the intake, they have the information about voluntary departure. They have the ability. Obviously, you guys are funding that because it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. So even if they get brought to the front doorstep here, they still have an opportunity to just go back voluntarily, and then this way they're not.
Let's say they get in here like, hey, I want to stay here. I want to go back.
We can put them on a plane that day and take them home. We'll buy their plane ticket, go home, and then they get the chance to come back legally. If they wait and say we're not going to do that,
they can come back legally after a period.
Yeah.
President, you've talked recently about the idea of finding some way to get farm workforce and service sector workforce. And I think you've discussed somehow a program of people leaving on a sponsorship and coming right back. Can you give us a little more detail about that and why, in the view of some hardliners, it's not amnesty?
Take care of our farmers and hotel workers and various other people, and we're working on it right now, and Ron's going to be involved, and you're involved already. So we have a lot of cases where ICE will go into a farm, and these are guys working there for 10, 15 years, no problem. The farmers know them. We're going to put, it's called farmer responsibility or owner responsibility, where they're going to be large.
My MAGA mom's idea of what the purpose of the big beautiful bill is about. Yes, it won't stay or stick. They are showing the reality to the world of what the deep state wanted and seeing who in Congress is truly against humanity. It's all going to change. This will be short-lived. Oh my God. They're absolutely delusional. If they don't agree with something, they flip it to fit their own personal fantasy narrative and make it so Trump is God in their make-believe reality. Yeah, by the way, he just said owner responsibility. This is slavery. Let me run this back again. Let me run this back again, okay? Owner of a person. What Donald Trump is talking about here is humans, okay? Undocumented migrants.
Farmers and hotel workers and various other people, and we're working on it right now, and Ron's going to be involved, and you're involved already. So we have a lot of cases where ICE will go into a farm, and these are guys working there for 10, 15 years, no problem. The farmers know them. We're going to put, it's called farmer responsibility or owner responsibility, where they're going to be largely responsible for these people. And they know these.
Owner responsibility. I know he probably means farm owners, but I think we all know what he actually means, though, what he's signaling here. Because remember, earlier, Donald Trump said, earlier in the day, he said, he doesn't want to deport undocumented migrants that have been working on these farms for an extended period of time. But he also simultaneously mentioned, we're not going to give them citizenship. No way. This is an admission of the ways in which we have the process of documented and undocumented workers. This is literally an admission of what I've been saying for years and years. Like the whole purpose of not giving the proper documentation to these workers who have work authorization is so that they can engage in indentured servitude, and they are utterly disposable whenever the farm owners or whenever the poultry facility owners, the bosses, decide that they want to wipe out the entire labor pool, only with the full knowledge that they can just like rehire a bunch of new, fresh, undocumented laborers in their place. This is an admission of how undocumented work exists in this country. Okay? You mean poor Americans and their children? What do you mean? The most famous incident that took place was with Purdue and numerous other poultry facilities where undocumented migrants that were hired deliberately, that were placed inside of trailer parks near the Purdue chicken facilities, the Purdue poultry facilities, had a lot of issues on the job sites. Like they had sexual assaults that were rampant, and they had a lot of back pay that they were not getting. When they got together and demanded their back pay and made their concerns be heard, the bosses at the plants called ICE on them and deported them, only to turn back around and rehire undocumented migrants and put them in the same trailer park. We keep these people undocumented deliberately. We know where they are. We have a lot of these people constantly checking in with ICE. We keep them undocumented deliberately. Okay? The difference between an undocumented and a documented worker is documentation. And the government ultimately controls whether or not they even stay documented. An example of this can be seen with the temporary protected status documented workers of Haitian background. When J.D. Vance, the vice president, and Donald Trump were running their campaign, they kept saying these guys were illegal aliens. They were not. They had the proper clearance and the proper paperwork. They had the temporary protected status. They recognize, the Trump administration recognizes this reality, that the difference between someone who is a documented worker and an undocumented one is proper authorization, proper clearance is just paperwork. Paperwork that they can revoke at any point. Paperwork that they are choosing to revoke from a lot of the 500,000 plus Haitian migrants that are in the country right now. That's it. When people say, oh, why don't you come here the right way? What you're talking about is a lot of people who have come here the right way. People who are asylum seekers. People who got the proper clearance and the proper paperwork as temporary protected status recipients. But that can all go away overnight if the Trump administration chooses to take it away. That's it. Farmers are seeking empathy when they should feel rage? No, they're not seeking empathy. They're simply saying the truth, which is that if all of these undocumented migrants were to be forcibly removed, the American economy would come to a crippling halt. Undocumented laborers comprise, in some states, 40+% of the agribusiness. Okay? They are the farmhands picking the crops. Undocumented migrants, undocumented laborers are responsible for the majority of the agribusiness all around the country. I believe to 60% overall. Documented and undocumented migrant workers are responsible for 60% of all of the agribusiness workers. Undocumented and documented non-citizens are responsible for a major chunk of the construction as well, the construction sector as well. Silence, Kulak. This exploitation of labor will stop. Real cute, man. Yeah, that's what Trump is doing, right? Punishing the kulaks, right? No, he's not. He's punishing the workers, you moron. You're so edgy. I dislike the idea with a lot of the left calling this slavery. Banned. Okay. Slavery is so much worse. You're undermining the depravity of chattel slavery. Me. I'm so special. This is the modern version of direct indentured servitude, which is another form of slavery. Okay. Also, leftists have historically considered wage labor to also be wage slavery. Shut your bitch ass up. I am not doing this optics game, okay? Standpoint theory time. Excuse me. I don't like the invocation of the word slavery here. Shut the up. According to the USDA, 40% of all farm workers in the U.S. are undocumented. That labor simply cannot be quickly replaced, if at all, through H-2A visas or the hiring of U.S. citizens. Mass deportation would lead to the closure of many farms and cause food prices to skyrocket. This is the reason why business leaders are begging Trump not to do this. Yes, I saw Kristi Noem ending TPS for 500,000 Haitian migrants in September. I saw that. This is precisely the reason why I said initially the same forces that are working in ICE will inevitably come for black people. They already are coming for black people. Who do you think is going to get targeted by ICE when they're looking for the 500,000 illegal Haitian migrants? This is why the whole we're going to sit this one out style weird Fed posting that we saw was idiotic from the jump. Because the entire principle behind the ICE deportations is to make America a more white nation. A New York City federal court just ruled that Secretary Noem's decision to partially vacate Secretary Mayorkas' decision to extend TPS for Haiti was unlawful. This would restore the original expiration date of February 3rd, 2026, and potentially overrule Noem's recent decision to terminate it. Yay, Twitter news, no research. Twitter news. This is Aaron Reichling Melnick. Like, when people say Twitter news, I don't think they understand who I'm sourcing this information off of. Do you think this is like Jack Posobiec and Wokeness account or something that I'm getting this information from? Or do you think I'm getting this information from a senior fellow at the American Immigration Council whose entire job is to report on exactly all of the new, this is his job. This is what he does. Are you so stupid that you see Twitter and you think, oh, dude, what an own? I'm joking. Okay, good joke. Twitter is all but a simple vehicle for summarized talking points coming from researchers who pour hours and hours of time into covering all of the latest things that are unfolding on every issue. That's not a fair comparison. There has still been far less militaristic response to protests until more recently, especially when more Latinos went out in the streets. What are you talking about? What? They aren't going to go after blacks that are legal. Dog, the 500,000 Haitian migrants that are currently on temporary protected status are quite literally legal until the point where the government decides unilaterally that they are not legal. And in the process, they absolutely will go after black people that are legal, okay? Blacks, this man says. How do you figure out if someone is a Haitian migrant on TPS versus just a black person that is a natural born U.S. citizen? You can't figure out if this is a black person that is an American citizen versus a Haitian migrant on temporary protected status, which is the proper authorization to exist on U.S. soil and work on U.S. soil. He has the proper documentation to be here, even if it's revoked later down the line unceremoniously. How do you figure that difference out? You arrest black people en masse, and then you figure out whether or not they're actually Haitian migrants or not. We already saw this with a ton of American citizens who are simply brown getting apprehended and arrested and falsely detained by ICE. Are you stupid? So far, 70 U.S. citizens have been falsely deported. Not only that, but they're also talking about denaturalizing U.S. citizens.
Governor DeSantis has proposed using national...
Any evidence for this, bro? I guess Trump is going to deport Obama now. Where are you getting this info from, bro? Any evidence for this, bro? Google is free, big dog. Type in the words U.S. citizen detained by ICE, or type in the words U.S. citizen falsely deported. Okay? Please. You don't have to have me spoon feed every piece of information because it requires me constantly having to re-explain things that I have explained so far. Okay? ICE may have deported as many as 70 U.S. citizens in the last 5 years. This is from the American Immigration Council. This number is only going to go up way higher. This is from 2015 to 2020. Okay? This number is going to go up even higher because this was not even the peak of mass deportations. Every other day, there is a new story. Every other day, there's a new story of an American citizen being falsely detained.
National Guard, deputizing them as immigration judges to get through this mass.
Get your papers right, dude. 70 is so little. 70 people who can't provide ID. One day, this will happen to your mother or you. Okay? And I hope people don't have that same exact attitude when it happens to you, you moron. You'll think, who cares, man? Who cares? Whatever.
Massive backlog of people in the immigration court. Would you be open to that?
Yes, he has my approval. Okay. That wasn't too hard to get, was it? He didn't even have to ask me, James. See? You didn't even need James to ask me. He has my approval, okay? Good. I also like what he's doing in Okeechobee. He has my approval for that, too. I don't know how we work that out, but we'll work it.
Yeah, they're going to deputize the National Guard.